All right.
Now we're live.
Now we're live.
Stream.
And we can do live chat on that. So I think if we go into the laptop, we can see the chat.
Where in the...
Probably like on the channel page. We'll probably take a look. All right, we're live. And we're just saying hi. How you doing? Today is the day after Teach Somebody to Homebrew, right? Is that the national holiday?
Yep.
So we are, we're celebrating the day after that. But we're also just checking up beers that we brewed a few weeks ago. I know that I have my Harvest Ale and it's really clarified. And then yeah, let's turn that off. We have my Chromebook down here, and we're gonna talk to comments as they come in. But my Harvest Ale is really hitting its stride. It's super clear. And then Mike's Cream Ale from, was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Sure. Both.
Yes, last week. Did we drink this last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last week.
Last week.
Yes.
And apparently it's fairly amazing. That's what Mike said. So, but anyway, we're saying hello. If you have hello from the Netherlands, someone just
nice.
posted.
Yeah, I see it down here too.
Yeah. And well, hello from the good old U.S. of A.
We've made it.
We have made it. We're still here. For the probably available light of like what, 25 minutes now.
Yes.
So it's not gonna be a long live stream. We're just gonna take questions or just chat with you. So whatever you're up to, whatever you want to say, let us know. I'm gonna go get a beer. You need a glass?
Yeah, bring a glass out.
All right, I'll get a glass, and Mike will take all your questions from now on.
Okay, yes.
I'm not coming back.
Hey, from the UK. Awesome. Cool. Scott Cook. Nice. What time is it in the Netherlands and or the UK right now? You guys must be just sitting around doing nothing.
Well, it's probably like night.
Yeah, I understand it's nighttime over there. I understand how the sun works around
What? That's your glass.
Excellent. $22 hours. Nice. This is my glass, apparently. Okay, cool. So, anybody drinking some beers at home right now, or what? If you have questions, like John said earlier, if you're just checking in, throw some questions at us too. Chuck Under Fire, good to see you. I'm looking down at the thing too. It's easy to watch the comments down there too. We just threw this together last minute, so we've got camera, computer, so we'll be looking up and down constantly, which I'm sure will get to be annoying. So, I don't know where all you guys are, but it's a beautiful day here. We're getting some amazing weather the last couple of days. It's absolutely amazing here. So, hazelnut brown ale. Nice. I love hazelnut brown ale.
So that's the Harvest.
Look at that.
Cleared up pretty nice.
Yeah, very nice. Yep. I guess I'll pour myself some cream ale and we'll make it work.
Well, do you want to switch?
It's up to you. Yeah, you want to switch?
Yeah.
Oh.
The only reason why we're doing this is so I can have more of the cream ale.
Oh.
When you get stuck with my Harvest Ale. You actually like this. This is good. It's got a nice golden color.
This was a pouring disaster on my way down here, so trying to pour this off the keg real quick. I don't even know if there's any carbonation left in it.
Oh, good. A flat cream.
Yeah,
Wow.
hold that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to
thanks.
that. Yeah. Oh, that's even more clear. Spark.
It's cleared up a lot in the last couple of days.
All right. You said this was transcendent. I expect nothing less.
What's the next planned brew from Bob Lonesbury?
The next planned brew. Well, we have a whole bunch. We actually sat down and scheduled out
for the first time in 6 years.
Forever.
Scheduled the next several videos. The English Bitter is going to make a reappearance. That's coming up soon out of my brew plant. That's on my schedule.
I also have, well, I think I alluded to this. We have a few experiments going on, but I'll probably do some kind of maybe an American Pale or American Amber. But the plan is to brew the same beer twice, one at the 5-gallon batch size and one at the 1-gallon batch size, and Then we'll do a triangle test. Michael will try to choose. Hopefully, the answer is he can't tell the difference. But we'll do a triangle test to see if he can tell the difference. If there really is like a big difference in either quality or taste or what have you between the two different batch sizes.
The B Murph 43 says he needs help with New England IPAs. They don't come out quote unquote juicy. I think that's the challenge for everybody. The only advice we can really give is well, I'll say a couple things. Is tons of late hopping, right? Like I think with like less than 5 minutes in the boil, you want to dump 4 ounces of your favorite mix or whatever in there. Then if you can partially chill to like 180 and then whirlpool for another 20 minutes with another 4 ounces at 180. And then you want to layer in something dry hop wise and maybe during the ferment per se too. For me, I find like the balance between juicy and not being juicy is some of that raw hop bite that I don't like at all. And to me, it detracts from it potentially being juicy. On the grain side of thing, actually, people are having good luck dabbling in with a little bit of honey malt, which I normally find has no application for most things I brew. If you can hear the helicopter going overhead, we're being invaded. But a little bit of honey malt, sort of, I've heard a lot of people saying, sort of helps support the adds just a little bit like this wisp of a sweetness that sort of helps amplify the fruit character of those hops. Yes, Red Dawn. That's excellent.
Wolverines.
So, that's the best I can come up with for helping out with juicy IPAs.
Yeah, I'd say also your yeast strain, and
that's huge.
You know, I think that finding a yeast strain that is actually branded for the style. I think there's enough yeast manufacturers who are now making yeast strains that are for New England IPAs. Try one of those. And
anything that London ale category, Conan, Imperial makes the Barbarian yeast. I'm going to try the Imperial Citrus soon. Even blends of some of those probably help out quite a bit. Although I've heard people even having luck making juicies with like a blend of Fermentus SO4 and USO5, which is interesting. I haven't tried it yet. Some people claim that when they ferment USO5 too cool, like at like 62, it throws peach. So that would certainly help create some of that fruit character in your beers too. So this guy's not updating with the chat. Oh, we're there yet? No, this one's still thinking about it.
Well, it's
so I'm reading them off of
yeah,
here.
I know. The simplest, most important factors for adjusting water, would it be sulfur? Yes, the sulfur.
What was give me the question again.
It was what's the simplest thing for adjusting your water chemistry? It was the ratio between sulfide and chloride.
Well, to me, sulfate and chloride is not water chemistry. Sulfate and chloride is flavor balance. Okay, water chemistry comes down to one thing only: calcium. Well, and then using calcium to get pH. If we're talking about water chemistry, to me, are you asking about how do I get good mash or how do I get the flavor? Because you need to separate the two. That's what my philosophy is think about them separately. If we're talking about flavor, how does water chemistry affect flavor profile? Then, yeah, if you want to make something traditional, if you want the hops to have a more of a crisper bite to them, you want to favor sulfate to chloride, like 2-to-1. Start there and go higher if you want. If you want something to be more malty, if you're going to make a brown ale, if you're going to make a juicy New England IPA where you want a softer presentation of the malt character and a softer presentation of the hops, then you want to favor chloride. But if we're talking about water chemistry as it pertains to me, chemistry, meaning pH, the proper pH, it's about how much calcium of either one of those calcium sulfite or calcium chloride you're adding to help get to the right pH. I add a certain amount of calcium, depending on what I'm going for later on flavor-wise, to try to get me close to pH, but I usually have to add a little acid to get the rest of the way to the right pH. And I think most people probably would too.
Yeah.
Especially if you're starting just RO water, you really can't add enough calcium to get to the pH. You need to add a little acid too. Unless you're doing a recipe that's got a good amount of crystal malts or some roasted malts, then pH will drop more too. So, we can build on those questions here. We can change places.
I think the comment was flavor.
Yeah, so flavor to me then is
Everything you just explained.
Sulfite and chloride in the end. Sulfate, not sulfites. So, yeah. So he's playing with the laptop, but that's to me that's where it's at. And that's where I'll say this. This is going to be pretty controversial, but like I just think you should go to any homebrew book you have or any online resource where you've got this list of all these water profiles from all over the world. Take those pages and rip them out. Just don't pay attention to that. It's like me telling you you're going to make tomato sauce and you have to use so many grams of table salt to do it. Well, it's to your taste. So you need to brew a beer. You need to be prepared to brew a beer with a certain sulfite chloride ratio and say, did it come out the way I want? Is the issue I'm having with this beer related to water chemistry? And then adjust it. You can't expect to just do it in one beer. So it's like cooking. You have to be willing to make adjustments. In those water profiles that they publish for all these different towns and cities all over the world, I just find them to be sort of unhelpful. And if I've played in water chemistry calculators, and tried to plug in like how much of these different minerals to get those profiles. It's actually very hard in some cases to get those profiles to actually come out in a water chemistry calculator just by adding like gypsum and calcium chloride and magnesium, whatever, and all that other stuff.
So I got the laptop working.
Okay, great.
There is a comment that we need to do a mandatory beer chug, which we are not doing. It's not mandatory.
I saw the chug question earlier.
The helicopter came and that threw us all off.
Yep.
If you want to brew a beer with wild cherries, should you remove the pits? I hear they contain cyanide. They do, but
they're not in enough quantity to get in your beer to actually be a problem. I think that what I've actually heard is that a lot of sour beer brewers using fruit, especially pitted fruit, will use pits in there with the fruit because something about the pit itself offers a little bit more of a dynamic that's sometimes important too. The cyanide in any of those is not in the. If you were going to crush all the pits and expose the actual endosperm in the center, then maybe you've got potential for a cyanide problem. But what we're talking about is the shell of the pit is what's being exposed to beer. So I don't think that's a problem.
All right. Thank you for answering that. Just kegged latest ESB. This is from Chuck Under Fire.
Yes.
Can't wait for the bitter. Next is Sierra Nevada Pale recipe that they posted. I think I've followed that for other American pale ales, and that's the one to go with. That's for sure.
Okay.
And then Chuck thinks our format is made for the live stream, which is probably true.
Okay. We'll just go live all the time now.
Yeah, that's what we need. No safety net. That's exactly what I need.
Well, less editing on my part.
Yeah, well, that's true. True that. Okay, someone said, I'm trying to like, NEIPA yeast, Hazy Days 2 IPA blend from the Yeast Bay is nice.
Yeah, okay, I haven't used that. I haven't touched anything from the Yeast Bay yet, but I'd like to. The problem is the number of yeast suppliers is growing so fast, it's hard to try them all.
Antonio says hi from Ireland.
Yes.
Hi.
Greetings.
Started bottling my beer with a beer gun and CO2.
Yep.
But I did it twice now, and the color of my beer changes. It should be a blonde ale, not.
But it's darkening over time, right? I saw it quickly come up on the screen here. If you're purging with the CO2 prior to bottling, I would wonder if the O2 wasn't getting in there somehow earlier on in the process. Because if your beer gun is effectively purging CO2, you are using the purge on the CO2 of the beer gun, I assume, right? I don't really know how effective that actually genuinely is, but
don't worry about me.
But it's this is the live stream, people. Hang in there.
Social distance.
So yes. It sounds like you're getting oxidation to me, but that's a tough one with the beer gun. You know what? If you're using the Blickman beer gun, shoot them an email. They have phenomenal customer service. If it is indeed the beer gun that you're using, not like the Last Straw or one of those other ones. But whoever you got it from, check their customer service for sure. It's hard for me to just sort of guess what's going on there, but it sounds like oxidation. Shouldn't be, but it does.
Question from Sean H. Are you guys still taking homebrew submissions? I have a unique variable and I'd like to see if you can pick it out. Challenge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, there's been a few people who have written to the Brew Dudes blog, which is my preferred way of getting these things going. I've given out my address a couple of times and no beer has come. I'm a little afraid what I'm going to get in the mail. But, Sean H., yeah, challenge, I guess. We're going to lose. That's fine.
I'm up for every challenge.
All right. If you'd like to send us beer, go to our contact page on our silly blog, brew-dudes.com/contact, and then just find the email address there, and you can send us just send us a note, and then I'll figure out all the different things we need to figure out.
Yep.
Do you ever adjust sulfate to chloride to taste after fermentation?
So after fermentation, that's an interesting idea. If after fermentation you mean, all right, it's in a fermenter, I've tasted it to take like a gravity reading and gone, oh, this could use more chloride. I haven't done that because I would prefer to do stuff like that in the glass rather than mess around with the whole batch, wasting time exposing it to air or whatever. Now there's a train going by.
No worries.
The helicopter was Red Dawn reference, come up with a train reference. But we did do a video where we spiked into finished beers in the glass different amounts of chloride or sulfate to taste. So I would start there to determine whether or not post-fermentation in a fermenter is worth it. But it's a fun experiment to just play with the beer in a glass.
Okay. Question. Have you guys brewed with Fermentus K97? Any thoughts? That's a separate question. Cheers from Hillbilly Country. Love the channel.
Hillbilly Country, yes. K97, no, I have not used that one yet. Unfortunately, sorry.
All right.
I'll go do that once we're done with the live stream.
Yeah, get right on it. Next question. If you could pick just one yeast to brew with for a full year, what would it be and why?
I've seen this question before in other areas. What would I brew and why? Let me think. I favor the malty, I favor the English stuff, so I guess I would brew with if I had to pick right now, I would actually say, well, I don't brew with it a lot, like London Ale 3, because I could still make my English beers, and then I could make hazy hoppies with that. But if I was, to me, that's like taking the easy road out. I would probably just go ESB yeast, because that just fits most of the beers I brew. So ESB yeast. That's what I would do. What would you do?
Probably just
K97 from.
Yeah, that's the new. No, US 05, and I would just make smash beers like left and or right.
Yeah.
That's all I would do.
Yeah.
For a year?
Yeah, for a year. Oh, just for a year, sure. For a year, nothing but Hefeweizen yeast.
Sorry, US 05.
Yes. Okay.
All right, next question. We're just like crushing it. Here we go.
Keep them coming.
Actually,
I hope everybody's enjoying it.
This is actually more of a comment. Guys, love your videos, but the intro is a bit 90s infomercial.
You mean the little music and
yes,
it is. And we've been talking about changing it recently, probably, and by recently I mean the last 4.5 years. We've been talking about changing it. We're on it. Things move slowly, like this train going by. Things move slowly over at Brew Dudes Central, but we're getting there. Love the comment, thank you.
All right, so Chuck is back, and he says, what I've heard you say about purging oxygen with CO2 is that the volatile flow just mixes it all up anyway. Since then, I've been trying to figure out how to do a low-dose purge of the oxygen for a bottle.
Yeah,
is that even possible?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I would love to be able to have a longer format discussion about this. But again, talk to the manufacturer a little bit. I think you're almost at the point where maybe you try some sort of sodium metabisulfite. I've had questions about my own CO2 supply again. Not just how pure is it? I don't know. how much O2 is getting into some of those bottles. I don't know. That's a great question. You know what you could do is switch to beer gas, which I know has some nitrogen in it, but if you switch to beer gas just to see if a beer gas, which they're going to probably work hard at not having O2 in it, but most gas suppliers aren't putting O2 and CO2. There's too much of a liability there for other applications. I don't know, man. I'm going to have to think about that one. Bring it up next live stream. I got to think about it. No, it's a good question.
The next live stream is next year.
Okay, next year. No, I think it's tricky. That one's tricky. And I agree with you. You're just holding that button and just throwing CO2 in there. I don't know. Is it really fully purged or what? I don't know.
All right. Next question. Have you ever tried Kveik from Norway? Perfect for stouts.
Perfect for stouts? No, definitely not. Haven't tried it. There's a whole rainbow of Kveik yeasts out there that at some point, somewhere on the list, not in 2020, but somewhere on the list, I want to try to assemble 5 or 6 of them together, and we need to start doing some side-by-sides with that stuff too. So there is a Kveik video coming in the future, so stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Cheers from Wilmington, Delaware. They're East Coast USA, just like us.
Nothing like the East Coast.
So there's people thanking us for taking questions, loving it. Always look forward to our videos.
Yes.
It's great.
Thanks for the support.
Brew Dudes rock in the
free world.
Keep on rocking the free world. In the prez of a local homebrew club, I've referred several members to your videos. Thanks for the content. It's very appreciated.
I hope they like us as much as you do.
Yeah, some people do not. It's fine.
Yep.
It's good. Actually, I don't know. I think most people like us.
Yes. I like us. I like us. That's why it works.
Okay.
I kind of like this format where you're behind me, and I'm like looking at you, but it's like
keep it down. 'Cause I'm like,
we're just two dudes. I hope that everybody who watches us realize we're just two dudes. We don't have the answers. We have our own opinions, and they're just as good as what they cost you. And we just like talking about beer.
That's true. Sorry. I'm playing with this. This is good. All right. Antonio from Ireland says, any plans to explore pressure fermentation?
Stay tuned.
Unless you did already.
No, we haven't done it yet. There's some technical challenges we're waiting to figure out. We have a device to pressure ferment. We just need some extra hardware, and I'm working on it. So I'm intrigued by pressure fermentation. So it's coming. Yes, it's on the list.
It is on the list.
Sooner than you think.
God, I hate that, man.
I know.
You told me that like a long time ago. Still waiting for something.
Yep.
All right. Question: how old are you guys? You never ask dudes like how. No, we're in our mid 40s.
Mid 40s, maybe just past mid 40.
Okay, maybe 67.
How old do people think we are? Are we that immature, or we're already on our way out?
We're
on the other side.
On the back nine.
On the back. Yes.
People know it.
Yes. Oh, we fit the demographic, home brewer demographic perfectly.
I'm sorry, I just had to take it. Yeah.
That's all good.
They thought we were in our late 30s. Hey, thanks.
That guy. Send that guy some beer. Send him something.
That's Chuck. Chuck like this.
Yes. Thanks, Chuck.
All right. Felix says, since I switched to spunding, I get considerably more stability.
Spunding when? Late ferment, during kegging, probably, maybe. You're spunding off as you... What do you ferment? What are you spunding specifically? Is my...
late ferment.
I'm really... Late ferment? Awesome. So you switch the airlock over to a spunding valve towards the end, maintaining a certain amount of CO2. What pressure are you spunding to is the question.
Pressure, late ferment, pressure fermenter.
Yes. Awesome.
All right, the best question of the sesh.
Yes.
Homebrewers forever or brewery in your future?
Well, if there was a brewery in our future, I would wonder how long we could keep these videos going, unless we completely changed formats and just had webcams all over the brewery and turned it into our own guys who think they're 30, still brewing professionally and as a reality show. I don't think it'd be as entertaining as this is. You're watching it fail, yeah. Right, exactly. You guys need to see us with one of those big conical fermenter explosions with the dry hops on the top. That's what I know. That's what you're looking to see.
I saw something on one of the Facebook channels, Facebook groups that
Yep.
that is about homebrewing.
Yep.
And this poor guy, he was transferring from a bright tank,
Yep.
and something broke, and
Yeah.
he lost like 4
Yeah,
barrels
yeah,
out
yeah.
of a 30 barrel system.
I would love. So it goes along with the question about our age. The idea of the thing that intrigues me the most about professionally brewing is the fact that, to me, beer is the ultimate social beverage. It's in a pub atmosphere is the ultimate social gathering place. It's the way, it just brings people together in a very happy way. That part of the deal intrigues me. Being a physical brewer is probably beyond what my back can take right now these days. Not that I have a weak back, but I just know that when I work in the garden for a day, I wouldn't be able to go back to the brewery the day after, right? So, but opening a brewery, and maybe I don't know. I just wouldn't be the brewer because my back couldn't take it.
Yeah, I would tell someone else to do it. But then again, I'd have to get into a whole bunch of cash. All right.
We love being home brewers too, Chuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I do.
I love it. I love it.
I like having a hobby. So that leads into the next question, which is, what are our day jobs? I'm guessing at least one of you is a biochemist. Yeah, not me.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what leads you to that guess. But yes, I am a biochemist. Yeah, I studied biochemistry for undergrad. I have an advanced degree after that in cell biology and molecular biology.
And I cure cancer.
And I work in a cancer lab trying to cure cancer. That's what I do. That's what I was doing this morning. I had to go to work today.
I work in marketing, which that's the
marketing. People are people
yin,
too.
I guess the yin to your yang. I think Felix had a few other things to say.
Bring it.
He said 1.7 bar at 18 Celsius.
Yeah.
Sorry, metric system. It's
okay.
Sorry.
I'm a scientist. I can handle the metric system.
Usually that's a middle ground.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm intrigued by the idea of spunding towards the end of fermentation too. I think that's a cool idea. So once I get myself some spunding equipment, I will probably start playing with spunding all kinds of things.
It's okay. So we have that. Antonio says,
I'm going to drink the rest of this.
Yeah, please. Well, you didn't like my harvest ale?
I love harvest ale, but this is what's right in front of me.
Get it. Get at it. Antonio wanted to know what our day jobs were too. He got it. Felix said carbonation, I meant.
You're spunding for carbonation?
Yeah.
Yeah, so capping it off towards the end of fermentation.
Yep.
And capturing some of the CO2. I would like to actually be able to try to do that from a standpoint of just using less of my tanked CO2 when I carbonate. So if I could partially carbonate by spunding and then somehow pressure racking to the keg to not lose the CO2, I think it'd just be a fun experiment to try.
All right, Chuck thinks it's good that we're home brewers. I feel a bunch of these channels are aiming for a brewery eventually.
How many home brewers, I say that kind of like with a wise look on my face, but like a wise ass look on my face. We all love the idea, I think. I love the idea of serving my beer on tap to people in a bar, but I want to stand over the bar and communicate with people. What do you think of the beer? What do you like? What do you not like about a beer? But the reality is that's what I do as a home brewer, so I don't necessarily have to go pro to do that. I think that's one of the things that over the years has kept me from really making that leap, is just because doing this is actually a solution to that problem, right? Is that we get to talk about our beers, and we have got a bunch of friends that love craft beer, and so we give them our beers, and we get to talk about beer all the time. So,
all right, good question from Brent. What is your favorite offbeat brew that you've made? Not pale ales or hybrids or whatever, just something that you were surprised that you liked as much as you did.
Offbeat. Recently at all? Let's see. At all.
I would say within the
realm of everything I've ever brewed.
Yes.
There's a video coming up soon with an offbeat ingredient. Yeah. So I don't want to let the cat out of that bag, but stay tuned. Somewhere in December, you're going to see a beer with a very offbeat ingredient. That was my favorite, and I'm sorry to be coy about it on the live stream, but
Just think vegetables.
Thinks vegetables, yeah. I will say this, actually, you know what? When we first started making sour beer, I liked it, but I thought there was something off about it. And it wasn't until I drank more and more commercial sour beer that I was finding similar flavors in the commercial stuff that actually matched the home stuff. And I was like, hey, this is just as good as that. I just don't like doing the sour thing at home anymore. That's all. So, but I thought that was a unique experience. The the cherry sour was, which isn't really offbeat, but it's off the easy path, that's for sure. That was great stuff.
Frazzle Penguin says the biochemist clue was your intense talk about ascorbic acid and not doing what you think, and that and the CO2 and air mixing talk.
Yes, I like science.
It's good. Somebody needs to like science.
I'm a science guy.
On the science topic, username of God comments, I've graced you with my presence.
Thank you.
But haven't you always? You're omnipresent.
I know. Aren't we always together?
I'm trying to no-chill overnight in the keg that I use to ferment. Spunding valve at 12 psi.
Okay.
From...
You're no-chilling with a spunding valve? Okay.
From, I guess, from to the right at the end. 2 batches so far and enjoying it.
Okay, cool. The few times I've done no-chill, I use the one kettle I have that has a lid that actually fits the top. I just turn the heat off, put the lid on, and walk away. The weather's getting cooler now, so I might experiment with no-chill again. But no-chill is a cool thing to try. I think everybody should try it, especially with these types of hoppy beers, right? Don't boil the snot out of your wort for like 40 minutes. Dump in a truckload of hops, cover it, and walk away. And like no-chill that. That, you'll be surprised of the hop character you get there.
We have a triangle test coming up from a no-chill versus chill beer. Coming up.
Totally chill, man.
Totally chill.
Totally chill.
Okay. Chuck Under Fire says, have you done any more reintegrated mashes to make some more high ABV beers?
You know what? I've been more focused on crushing finer, using rice hulls, and doing bigger grain bills with less runoff for the size of the beers that I want to do. But I love the idea of reiterated mashing just from a science standpoint, and find it pretty cool. So we haven't done more of that, but it's something that is interesting. But I've got a pretty big mash tun, so I don't mind using a truckload more grain and keeping it kind of a dense water to grain ratio, and I can get like a 1090 wort that way out of the mash tun, and I could boil down to 1.1 easily.
All right, big question here. Going to make a porter, but I'm out of black malt.
Good.
Just all right, hold on.
No, I love black malt.
Only roasted grains that he has is hold on. Jeez.
Yes.
Now everyone's
Sorry.
talking.
Everyone's like
Everyone's talking. Everyone's going crazy.
Yep. I love black malt. So
the only roasted grains he has is chocolate crystal and some special B. How necessary is the black malt for a
it depends
porter?
on how.
Can I skip it?
You know what? Look up brown porter. Okay, so that you could go there. Depends on how dark your chocolate malt is. If you have like one of those English 500 Lovabond chocolate malts, you're basically there. Even a 450, you're basically there. Just use more of it than you thought you'd need. It'll be fine. Look up brown porter. Brown porter is actually not black, but uses some brown malt. I've made porter with brown malt and chocolate malt before, and it's fine. The lines are a little bit blurred sometimes between those dark styles, what they're called and what they are. So I would say you got dark crystal, you got a truckload of chocolate, throw it in. Call it a porter. And if it tastes like a porter, keep calling it a porter. If not, tell your friends it's a Southern English brown. And they'll go, wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Baffling them with BS.
Yeah.
Okay, could you go into some experiences with darker ales using Kveik, I have a hard time keeping my fermentation at a proper temperature as I live off grid.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the deal. Nobody's going to like this. But Kveik doesn't have to be fermented hot, right? It will ferment hot, and that's fascinating. And something definitely to enjoy and play with and have a good time. But if you like the flavor that Kveik gives you, it doesn't necessarily have to be done hot. Just do it as warm as you can do it, right? Or don't chill as hard, and then wrap it in like an old sleeping bag or something and try to keep the temperature up during those first 3 or 4 days of fermentation. I think that that's probably one way to do it if you can't keep it warm. But just keep this in mind. You don't have to, just because people are crazy about how Kveik can go up to 85 degrees doesn't mean it has to go at 85 degrees. It ferments perfectly well at 65 degrees and makes really nice stout at 65 degrees. I know this to be true. Nobody's going to like that answer. But that's just real. That's just my real experience with it. That's all.
All right, here's another great question. Is temperature controlled fermentation in your top 5 tips for brewing ales? I just started on a 2-hearted ale clone using US 05 at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and have to say I couldn't notice a difference.
I agree. And so I used to be a diehard temperature control guy. Over the last few years, I've sort of just let it go. I've been burned a few times by getting beer that was less than stellar because I think it got too warm when I'm trying to ferment in the summer and stuff like that. But I think in general, I think temperature control is important, but it's not the end-all, be-all all the time. What I try to shoot for is steady fermentation, right? So if it's going to settle in at 68 degrees, I try to keep it during the first 3 or 4 days at 68 degrees. Then if it wants to get warmer, I let it get warmer. If it starts to get colder, I do my best to get it warmer. I always try to finish my beers at like 70, 72. Temperature control is a good lever, but it's not the end-all, be-all for making great beer. It's important, but don't stress over it. If you can be in the bulk, a beer fermented at 65 versus a beer fermented at 68 is going to be the difference will be unnoticeable. So just keep that in mind. 65 and 75, those are going to be slightly different beers. You're going to notice that, and you might not like the difference. But don't stress out if you want to ferment at 70 and it's at 68, or if it's at 70, it's at 72. The yeast have no idea that you're 2 degrees off of target. No idea. So.
All right, we got like 10 more minutes of light. Here we go.
The camera's doing a good job of keeping the light active.
It actually looks pretty good.
When someone says I can't see you anymore, we'll call it quits.
We'll call it quits. All right, well, I'm thinking we'll do,
yes. I agree.
15 more minutes.
15 more minutes or so. Keep them coming.
All right. Let's see. Pressure fermentation in a corny keg with a floating pickup and a spunding valve works great at 2 bars.
Awesome.
When cold crash, it will be carbonated.
Yes, that's awesome. Floating dip tubes, I've been researching them. Look for a future video.
Excellent. Let's see, and then I think Brent's just talking about, as a history nerd, do whatever the hell you want with your stouts and porters. Agreed.
Yeah.
And then just call them whatever you want.
Yeah. You taste it and go, this is, yes, more porter than stout to me. Yes.
Question, have you ever tasted any Norwegian beers?
Like commercially? Definitely not.
Yeah,
not that I can recall.
Not that I can recall either. Any tips for apartment brewing? Do I need a wort chiller? I have one, but my sink faucet doesn't screw off, so I can't connect to the chiller. Do 2.5 gallon batches, and
I was going to say, it depends on your batch size, and if you're doing less than 5 gallons, I would say probably not. You probably don't need to have a wort chiller. I would invest, every time I brew, I'd invest in like 15 pounds of ice, buy a party tub or something like that that will fit your brew kettle, and make a water and ice solution in your sink or in a tub large enough, and just put your kettle in there and stir the kettle as it chills once in a while. Don't slosh it too much because you don't want to get aberrant stuff in there. But no, you do not have to have a wort chiller. As an apartment brewer, you could get away with an ice bath, but you want to be moving the wort. It'll chill faster, that's why.
True. right. I'm curious about the ester profile of lager yeast at room temperature. Obviously, you wouldn't call them a lager, but could it produce a nice ale?
Well, yeah. Here's the deal. It depends on the strain, right? We went to NHC last year, and I sat through a very nice seminar from the Fermentus people talking about the W3470, and they actually did gas chromatography of lager beers fermented at lager temperatures versus almost ale-like temperatures with that strain, and showing that the ester profile doesn't change all that much. So there's a lot of people doing warmer than traditional fermentations with lagers and still getting lager fermentation. It depends on the yeast strain. It really does. All things being equal. So like this cream ale, for instance, doesn't have a whole lot of ester presence. And this is a lager yeast fermented at 65. So it depends on the yeast strain. And this is the Fermentus S189. So read up on your lager strains, and you can find one that'll probably do a mid-range. Or you could use the, what's that, the San Francisco lager? That's the one that they make steam beer with, right?
Yep.
Try that one. And ferment it as cool as you can, you'll probably get a lager-like character.
That's actually leading to another question, which was best yeast fermented the lager without lager temps.
Well, a lot of people report interesting success with like USO5 at pretty low temperatures. I would say the German ale yeast, like a Kolsch Altbier type yeast, is probably your best bet, or anything that's like a hybrid fermentation. Just go on to your favorite yeast suppliers and look for the ones that say ale, but go down to like which ones have the lowest recommended range. I don't like the word recommended, but the lowest range that they've tested it at, and those will probably give you pretty good luck, you know. And if you're okay with investing in a little bit of equipment, that's where pressure fermentation comes in play. If you could use a hybrid lager yeast and a little pressure fermentation, you could probably get a pretty crispy lager type thing.
The Floating Dip Dudes, the next great band name.
Yes, Floating Dip Dudes.
Let's see. Someone said like M54 Cali Common Yeast is great for warm fermented lagers.
Thanks for the comment. That's great.
Another question. I think people are jazzed about this K97 Kolsch yeast.
Yeah.
Have we ever used it?
Definitely not.
Hasn't happened yet.
I'm not a big Kolsch brewer, but I've always been intrigued by alt beer, and I've been going through old recipes of mine lately, and alt beer has sort of floated back to the top of the list. So maybe in 2021 we will have to investigate that. I like this shotgun style. This is working for me.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another blast at you. First, does pressure fermentation change the flavor of the beer?
It's supposed to reduce esters. I mean, so a lot of professional brewers with very large conical tanks, they ferment their ales at higher temperatures than we as home brewers do, based on conventional wisdom. The reason being is because all the weight, that hydrostatic pressure, suppresses ester formation. So the idea as a home brewer then, we've been talking a lot about spunding valves today. So by fermenting under a little bit of pressure, you can suppress ester formation. Pressure on the yeast suppresses ester formation. So that's a theory. Try it out.
Oh boy.
We need to try it too, a little bit more.
This guy asked us to introduce ourselves, and then we ignored his question, apparently.
Well, we're working through the questions is the deal, right?
And then he said, like, you've ignored my question, you've lost a fan. Like, well, if you need us to introduce ourselves, then are you a fan?
Yeah, so this is Mike, and this is John. You know, if there's another type of introduction you'd like to know, ask again, and we're just going through the questions as they stream by. So
yeah, like, be patient.
John and Mike, BrewDudes.com.
We're just two dudes doing this. Ever tried 34 over 70 safe lager at higher temp?
Yeah, we have a video. Go back like 17 videos. I don't know where it is exactly. It'd be scary if actually 17 videos ago was that. But
that's a good guess.
Yeah, I did one back in the late midsummer. I did a lager with or maybe it was even in the spring or something. Anyway, we did do a lager with 3470 warm, and it came out pretty good. More experimentation needed.
Here's a good question, or at least a comment. I love to use my Fermentasaurus snub nose and fermenter King Jr. to ferment under pressure. Do we have one of those?
We have a Firmzilla.
Oh,
So,
a little bit different.
yeah, but we also have an Armada, not that many, but we have plenty of corny kegs we could ferment into under pressure if we had a spunding valve. Everybody listening, tell your favorite supplier to send us a spunding valve. That would be phenomenal. Not that I'm not going to buy one soon, but tell your favorite suppliers to send us stuff you want us to review.
All right. That's quite the call out. Don K says, think about moving to an electric brew setup, specifically the Anvil Foundry
Yeah.
1110 volt system. Any experience with it?
So, see my previous comment about telling your favorite suppliers
Oh,
to send us
come on.
stuff. I would love to try something. I would love to be able to start doing some of these all-in-one systems, like an Anvil Foundry, the RoboBrew, all those things. I'd love to get more into those systems. They're basically, controlled brew in a bag type of deals. I'd love to try some of those. We have no experience with that because we're both long time invested in the equipment we have, especially me. If you go back many videos ago, I have a brew stand and I just recently upgraded kettles and stuff. So I'm sort of committed to the traditional brew system, but I would love to try some of those automated systems.
All right, some guy from Wales loves the channel.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it.
Thanks much.
Blow tie is super adjustable, by the way.
Cool.
I'm currently a brew in a bag brewer right now, and I'm copying regular all grain recipes. Should I be altering grain amounts?
No. I would, if the only reason why I would alter grain amounts is if you are looking at all grain recipes. Let's say you take one of our recipes and we're telling you that the OG is 1065 because we're both traditional cooler sparge brewers. We're sparger brewers. So if we're 1065 and you're coming in at like 1045, then maybe you want to adjust your efficiency in your recipe amounts, right? That's the only reason why I would adjust. I would brew a few beers first and then figure out if you need to adjust, but just adjust for efficiency. I don't think you actually have to. Some people report even higher efficiency than we get in brew in a bag. So
True. All right, last few questions because like now I'm starting to glow.
I think you look great. You look great by the glow of the Chromebook.
Great. Yeah.
But the camera's doing a great job with the light.
Not too bad. Not too
Yep.
bad. Any tips for natural conditioning for stout?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I've wanted to try it in my kegs because I don't bottle anymore. But I think natural conditioning, I've always actually preferred, especially back when you bottled all the time and didn't keg anything. There's something about bottle conditioned beer that I think, unfortunately, is most of the time superior to kegged beer, at home at least. Maybe it's an equipment thing, I don't know. But bottle conditioned beer to me is always pretty nice. I don't know why, it just is.
Have you ever added potassium sorbate to a beer and then added maybe some fruit concentrate like mango? I often back sweeten cider with apple concentrate after using potassium sorbate.
If you have dialed in your potassium sorbate levels that you can add mango or whatever to back sweeten in mead or whatever, what did he say, mead or something like that?
Cider.
If you've dialed that in, then I would definitely give that a go with your beer recipes. We haven't tried it. I haven't tried it at least, right? So, but go for it.
Okay, last two questions, and then we're gonna call it quits.
Okay.
Here's a good one for you, Mike.
I'll be sad.
How do you balance brewing and raising children and somehow not losing your wife in the process? Go.
I apologize a lot. No, I just a lot of communication and a lot of planning. So I'm a late night brewer. I'm not a night owl by nature, but I have just found that for me, I just brew when everybody's in bed, and that's how I make it work. And then I suffer the next day because I go to bed late, then I get up at the same time as everybody else. That's how I do it.
Communication is key. I'm an early morning brewer. I'm usually getting up at 4 a.m. to get things done.
But our wives really appreciate craft beer, so it works.
All right. I am getting really poor efficiency from Munich malt. Any tips to improve this?
Is that 100% Munich malt mash, I take it? I don't know, crush more fine? Or look at the spec sheets. You might be just getting Munich malt that doesn't have as much going for it as others, as much dry extract basis as others. I don't know. Or blend a little bit of Pilsner malt into your Munich, if you're doing all Munich, and giving a go. I think Munich malt, because its converting power is so low, if you're doing 100% Munich, you might really need to pay attention to your mash pH. That's probably a good answer anyway. Mash pH is probably going to help out with that, being optimal for the temperature range you're in.
All right, last comment is we were listening to your voices, not looking at your mugs.
Nice.
So that's advisable.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. I think that's it. Appreciate it.
Sorry we can't do more. We're just losing light, folks.
We are losing light, and that's just life.
Cheers,
once
David.
the clocks turn back,
Yeah.
and we get like 4:30 sunsets here in our silly part of the world.
Yep.
On that note, like, they're listening to our voices and not looking at our mugs. Should we?
Yeah.
Should we put out the question? Should we do a podcast?
Yeah.
Guys of a certain age, like, maybe I'll do a podcast.
Yes. Yeah. We've thought about it. Round table it, or we just have to have topics. This format works because, the people are giving us the content, and we're just spewing off what we think. But a podcast, we'd have to have an agenda to some extent, and our pre-production skills are not great. But
that much.
Yes.
Skill.
Ergo, someone brought up the introduction thing. Our introduction, though, to be fair, is way better than Brad Smith's. He uses like elevator, like some of those his transitions in his podcast. Some of that music is pretty dated. But anyway, I love his podcast. Don't hate on me for that.
I think they were talking about the intro to our video.
No, I know exactly. I know. But I'm comparing it to his stuff. So hell yes, do a podcast. Chuck Under Fire said that. So
I think we're gonna.
Thanks, Chuck. You're such a supporter.
We're gonna hang with Chuck.
We got to hang out with Chuck.
Once we can actually hang with people again.
Yeah. It's funny how once the light starts to go, it goes, man. It's like exponential.
Yeah. It's every second is like.
Yeah.
is
I'm here for dunking on Brad Smith. Nice. I love that guy, but podcast sounds good. Well, we'll think about it.
I think we do a Brew Dudes After Dark. Apropos right now.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. Once it gets dark enough, the camera won't work, but we could still it would just be voiceless.
The two ideas we have is
awesome.
just like a continuation on, talking beer. And that's something you can actually listen to when your kids are around. And then there's like BDAD, which is Brew Dudes After Dark. And that's just like a whole different subject matter.
Yeah.
That's like when Mike really gets angry and he goes on a rant for 30 minutes, and I just say like, okay, and next week on BDAD.
The last 6 years of doing this has largely just been me biting my tongue the whole time, right? Because we don't need the hate comments for bad opinions, but they're not hate comments. I'm just saying.
You don't have bad opinions.
No.
You have strong opinions.
It's entertaining. If it's entertaining, people would like it if it's entertaining. So.
Okay. I think that's it. Appreciate you
Thanks, everybody.
tuning in. I know this is like off the cuff, and we kind of just said, hey, I want to do a live stream. The year is almost wrapping up, and we haven't done one, and here we are, wrapping it up. What a wonderful year 2020 is.
Hey, all right.
So thanks a lot. If you just met us and you want to have us introduce ourselves, and then say you're losing fans or whatever. Check us out. We do this kind of thing actually once a week in a more of a pre-recorded way.
Yes.
And if you want to subscribe to our channel, do that, because then you can see all the kind of tomfoolery we're up to every single week.
We're doing our best.
We're doing our best. We're just two dudes drinking beer, talking about brewing beer, and that's about it. That's really about it. Nothing else. Okay, we're definitely fading to blue.
We are fading to blue.
Okay, hit the X. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you later.
Cheers, everybody.
Can you push that?
I'm pushing X now.
Pushing. Byes.
Yes, I want to end this.